Our posture impacts everything we do on the flute. The way we hold our body affects every single fundamental skill that we learn. And when our posture supports our fundamentals, everything seems easier, and things that may have seemed impossible at one time start to become possible. The good news is changing your posture is simpler than people think. It's not about forcing big changes, but more about having an awareness of what you're doing and implementing small, manageable changes that you practice consistently over time that compound to give you a big result. In this video, I'm going to go over 4 posture concepts that I use for myself or for my students when there's some sort of struggle going on with a fundamental that is obviously being impacted by the posture. The first concept is the position of the ribcage. The way we hold our ribcage affects our breath capacity, our ability to access our abdominal support, and our ability to open up big resonators in the chest and back for our sound. We really want to be able to breathe in a way where we can take air in and open up space all the way around the circumference of the body. This allows us to maximize our capacity. With the support, we want our ribcage in a position where we can draw in those abdominal muscles to pressurize that air as it leaves our body. And with the resonators, especially when you're playing forte, we can open space inside the chest for resonating our sound, which can make it much louder, make it richer, help control intonation, a whole bunch of fundamentals stacked on top of that. First thing we want to do is check to see how we are holding our weight in the feet. When you're just standing, either with the flute or just standing on your own, where are you taking the weight in your feet? Some people take the weight more to the ball of the foot. Some people take the weight more to the heel. So what we want to do is just rock back and forth here and find a place where we're really taking that weight equally between the ball and heel of the foot. The next step is to make sure that we're not locking out our knees. You don't have to bend your knees like you're going to play a sport or something, but we don't want those knees to be locked because it pushes the pelvis out of position and affects our ribcage. The next thing that we'll try doing is just drawing some circles with the hips. And slowly you're going to let those hip circles become smaller and smaller and smaller. And you can imagine that your hips are still doing circles even though no one can see your hips moving. And feel for that centered spot right in the middle of your body. Okay. And now we just want our chest to be lifted. We don't want to overarch the lower back. We've stacked everything up from the feet to give ourselves the best chance of having the ribcage in more of a neutral position. So now we're going to go over what we don't want. In this first picture here, you can see that the ribcage is flared forward. The hips and knees are locked, and in this position, I really can only take air in to the front of my ribs. When I breathe in, I feel a lot of air coming into the front of the body, but I'm not really able to get any air into the back. So again, I'm going to just find my balance. There, now I can feel the air coming all the way around again. Okay, now in this one, we can see that the chest is not up and the ribcage kind of collapses down. So if I collapse the chest, I've closed everything off here. And now I'm going to try and take a breath in. Here I feel most of the air coming into my back. I'm not able to get a lot around the front, and I really cannot draw in my support. To help us find alignment, we're going to start by standing against a wall. You just want the wall to lightly touch your bottom and between your shoulder blades. You don't want to lean against the wall. This is just to put your body in alignment, keeping in mind everything we just talked about where you're finding your center of balance. Then you want to put one hand on your chest, one hand on your stomach, breathing in, and then supporting as you blow out. You're keeping that chest raised, that chest is not coming in and collapsing. So again, that looks like this. If the chest is collapsing, it looks like this. So the next concept is shoulders and the breath. It's a very common issue that people kind of connect their trap muscles to the breath. And so you're getting a little lift and release here every time you breathe in. This is a problem because it creates massive tension in these muscles here, and it can cause bad headaches and just really a lot of tension that goes down through the back. Of course, that tension also impacts the quality of the sound, and it can be even more exacerbated when not just the traps are raising, but sometimes we just overengage the whole kind of shoulder girdle up here, where we have extra tension across the shoulders, in the collarbones, and sometimes up into the neck. So I'm going to show you a few examples. First, I'm going to play without that tension, and then I'm going to do 2 examples with each of those types of tension added in, so you can see how much impact it has on the sound. A great exercise to address shoulder tension is to make sure you have a lot of space around you. Stand back, bring the flute to sit just in front of your body. Bring the flute up in a big circle and then just to your face. This way, the shoulders and the traps are not getting engaged the way that they normally would when we just bring the flute up, and then try to maintain that relaxation when you breathe in. If this is a habit for you to add in tension at the shoulders, this will feel really, really difficult at first, like you're in a bit of a straitjacket, but it makes a massive difference to the quality of sound and, of course, the amount of headaches you get from practicing the flute. So the next concept is the alignment of the flute in relation to your face. So there are 2 ways that we're going to look at the alignment. First is the vertical alignment, so going this way. And the second is the horizontal alignment. So you just want the flute to be straight in line with the embouchure. Sometimes we get in the habit of playing a little bit too low here, which can bring the blowing edge out of alignment with this stream of air that we're blowing out of the lips. That can impact the sound negatively. I've even seen some people sometimes playing too high, especially young kids that don't feel that in their shoulders as much. The other way to look at alignment is horizontal. So we want the flute to be straight on the face. If we have it forward here or too far back, then it also impacts the sound negatively. I'm going to play some examples just so you can hear the impact of the alignment on the sound. A great way to practice this is just look at yourself doing long tones in your warm-up in front of a mirror and experiment and adjust. All this said, these are principles of alignment. So I'm not saying that you need to have the flute marching band straight here. I am saying that it's worth experimenting with. I tend to let the flute sort of droop over time. So a difference of even a couple of centimeters can make a huge change to my sound that's very positive when I remember to do it. So it's definitely worth experimenting with, even if you don't have a perfectly centered embouchure. The final concept is the position of the head and neck. So what we want is to create a neutral position to play from. The same kind of position that you would want if you were just having a casual conversation with someone. So we're not stretching our neck forward. We're not raising our chin up. Just keeping everything really neutral and then bringing the flute to our head. The reason this is important is because the position of the head affects our sound quality. It impacts all the tension that we were talking about with the breath and the shoulders, and it has an impact on our intonation. Working on this posture concept can bring up a couple of issues to evaluate in your fundamentals if you're having difficulty, especially if you're used to controlling the intonation by raising your chin. Ultimately, we want to use the support to control the airspeed and the lips to control the air direction, not the head. I'm just going to show you how it impacts the sound if I use raising my chin to control the intonation. So a great exercise for this would be just a variation of the exercise we already talked about for the shoulder exercise. So you're going to bring the flute up in a big circle and then just to your face. Instead of thinking about keeping the shoulders relaxed and not letting them raise up, here we're actually just thinking about keeping the head in the neutral position that it was in before you brought the flute. A lot of times it feels like there's some sort of magnet in the flute, you know, like your head gets close and all of a sudden we want to bring our neck forward or we want to bring our chin up. And so this is really just about building a new habit and setting ourselves up in a way where we're not bringing our head into a different kind of position that will compromise the sound. If you found this video helpful today, I would encourage you to check out our Fundamentally Flute School community. In there, we have more detailed exercises and a schedule for how to work on each of these concepts of posture. All you have to do is join the community, visit the classroom, check out monthly topics, and look at January 2026, where this posture content will be. The best part is, it doesn't cost anything to join.